Hey, what's up, everybody out there in the podcast world? Kevin here. I just got to remind you guys, real quick, before we get into this episode, to please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/wrestling with heat. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Wrestling with Heat on Instagram, and Wrestle with Heat on Twitter. So, in this episode, we are talking about Dolph Ziggler's legacy. And then we talk about CM Punk's potential return to wrestling, and we're done talking about CM Punk after this episode until he does, if he does one day return. Then we will continue to talk about him. But until that day, if that day ever comes, we're not going to be talking about him. In between all that, we talk about Raw, we talk about SmackDown. There's not a lot to talk about as far as SmackDown goes. Raw was clearly a lot more meat on the bone. And I didn't get to see all of SmackDown at the time of recording this podcast. And also, please excuse Hassan. He was a little negative. He was in a bad mood, I guess. He's frustrated with WWE right now, as a lot of fans are, and he's just venting that frustration. So if you feel the same way as him, let me know. Or, if you think he was too much or just too negative, too much of a negative Nancy, let me know either way. I'd love to hear feedback. Please let me know. And subscribe to the podcast on Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify if you would. Live on the the airwaves of the YouTubes. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, huh?
It has been a while, content.
Yeah, I was on vacation the last like 7 or 8 days. Not the first 7 or 8 days of the month. I was on vacation actually.
Yeah, peeped, and I just been all over the place. I've been busy.
I feel that. Huh?
It's good to be back. So how you been?
Yeah, it's good. I've been good, man. A lot of interesting stuff going on in my world, hey, none of that stuff's important, right? You know what is important though? The WWE. Yep.
Oh God.
That's important, man. Before we talk about Raw, I want to talk about Raw. But before we talk about that, though, I got a question. I want to ask you this question off top because I don't want to forget. Did you see the segment that opened up SmackDown with Dolph Ziggler?
No, but
He was just cutting a promo. That's not really relevant to my question, but I've been thinking about Dolph Ziggler, and I've been thinking this when I watch him for the last year or two, and I think what do you think his legacy is when he walks away and this is it and he's done?
probably one of the most underrated guys. No, most underrated guys ever, and probably a guy that should have left a long time ago because he was so misused.
So you think when it's all said and done, he'll be remembered as a guy that was misused?
Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
At first, I thought the same. I thought he would go down as one of the most underrated guys, and one of the guys that never really got a title run. But when you look at his overall career, he had a career similar to a guy like Kurt Hennig or Jake Roberts. Guys that will be respected for their craft and being really good performers and really good promos, just overall good characters.
Sure, but I feel like I don't know, but I don't think Ziggler had infatuating characters like Henning and Jake the Snake. I don't think the character was ever as that appealing and interesting as those two guys. And I do feel like from a lot of people, it almost felt like people would look at Dolph like he needs to stop worrying about being Shawn Michaels so much and try to find who Dolph Ziggler is. That's one of the stigmas you can put on him too. There was never a clear-cut identity for him.
I've heard that before. He copies Shawn Michaels and he copies Triple H and he copies this and that. But I still, I still think and how much of that is him? How much of that is on him? How much of it is just him doing what he's told to do at the end of the day?
Well, we got to put some accountability on him, though. I mean, I feel like part of it is on him, though.
Yeah, no, definitely part of it is, but the question is how much, you know?
I would say about 50% of it, and the 50% the other half is WWE because they have not put him in positions to succeed.
Right, and we know they're very careful and they don't take a lot of chances, but I do think Dolph is a guy that when our generation grows up and we're in our 40s, I think he's going to be somebody that we look back on very fondly. And I don't think his career is something to be ashamed of because he always had a spot, whether it was opening the show or it was in the main event. You know what I mean? He always had a spot. He was not really a guy that sat out on the bench. Only when he was hurt. When he's around, he has a spot.
Yeah, he's consistently been on television for years, but it's also like the most significant feud and the most emotionally investing feud that man's had in the past couple of years was that feud with The Miz.
Yeah, that's true.
Besides that, name me one. Besides that,
yeah. I mean, he's had good feuds, and that was another. That lets me segue into my next point. I think he was always good. He always had a good match, whether it was the match with Luke Harper that they had at TLC a while back, or it was the SummerSlam match with Ambrose. Whatever it was, Dolph Ziggler always has a good match. He doesn't have a lot of great matches.
Yeah, he can go, but he does nothing of significance creatively. Nothing.
Yeah, but you could agree though that he's good, right? Like he's not great. He's one of
the best workers in the world, but you could put him and Cesaro in the same category. Nothing of significance in the past couple of years. Nothing.
I would put him above Cesaro because Cesaro, his claim to fame is his tag team with Sheamus. I mean,
you could put him above Cesaro because he's had title runs, not very long ones, but he's had title runs.
Right.
If Cesaro had like those little week-long title runs that Dolph did, same career.
But let me finish my point though. So like he was good, and it might have been a curse that he had because he always had a good match. You could rely on Ziggler to have a good match with a guy like Baron Corbin. You put Ziggler in there with Baron Corbin, it's gonna be fine. Or you put him in there with Braun Strowman, he's gonna get a good match. You put him in there with Roman Reigns, he's gonna get a good match. And I think that might be a curse at the end of the day when you're just good and you're not great and like there's nothing to you that makes you larger than life. But it's also not a bad thing because it's better than being like Curtis Axel, who's just nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like barely. He's never on television. I understand that, but Dolph had charisma and he could work. So it wasn't like they were going to put him in that typecast where you're a great worker and you're the guy we're going to put in matches with people who want to look really, really good because you're a really good worker. He had charisma, he had mic workability, and he was actually money in the ring. And he could sell. He could really sell. His career just went down. Me personally, if we're going to shoot the shit and be real with it, I felt like his career went to the shits when he gave an interview talking about how Randy Orton always gets second chances. The second he did that interview, his career went to shits. Yeah,
that was the interview where he said that, like, John Cena's a great wrestler, but let him meet me in a back alley or something, right?
Yeah, and he questioned Randy Orton was getting second chances being the chosen one by WWE. The minute he opened his mouth and went against their system, it was over for him.
And the funny thing, too, if he had done that maybe, 15 years in the past, he would have been fine in the Attitude Era.
It's a different era.
Yeah, it's a different time. I was watching him cut that same promo that he's been cutting the last 3 weeks since he's been back. Oh, it should have been me. It should have been me. And I was just thinking
Yeah.
And I,
bro, as a fan watching this, I'm like, dude.
Oh, hold on. Let me finish. So I was thinking, wow, Dolph Ziggler is so good that he can make even the corniest shit look decent. Because I feel like if that was anyone else, it would have been unwatchable.
Yeah. Like, dude, he's one of the most consistently hardworking people in the company. He makes chicken salad out of chicken shit creative that they give him. And you look at this guy and you're like, how are you tolerating this all these years later? You should have been left.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I want Ziggler Ziggler to leave. Not because he's bad. It's like, dude, how much of this can you take?
No, but I think now he's at the point where he's so famous from his WWE career that he could kind of do whatever he wants now. Like he could start a YouTube show if he wanted to tomorrow and live off of that for the rest of his life because of his fame. I feel like he's just kind of done wrestling, full time.
Well, he's already moved on to other creative ventures, stand-up comedy. But I think when you look back at his legacy, it's really just a career of what if. Because he had all the talent in the world.
And you look at it, but when you really look at it, though, when you go back to when we first saw him on TV with the Spirit Squad, he realistically should have never recovered from that. He's lucky that he was able to make a career after being given that curse of death.
That's a testament to his talent, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, you got legends. And I remember Kevin Nash was even talking about Dolph Ziggler one time. He's like, that guy is money. Like, he's... Put him in the room with anybody. He can go. He can tell a story. They gave him... The one time they gave that guy leeway and they gave him freedom, which was a feud with The Miz, they delivered. And he delivered.
Yeah, it was fantastic. That was one of the most memorable feuds and one of the best matches of the year. I believe that was 2016.
Kev, that was the last time the Intercontinental Championship felt important.
And that was the first time it felt important in a long time prior to that.
I'm talking like 90s important. Like where it felt equivalent to the world title type important.
Yeah, like when Stone Cold and The Rock were fighting over it.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any bigger than that.
Yeah, man. Like they kudos to The Miz and Ziggler on that match and that feud. They made it feel ridiculously important.
Yes, sir. All right, well let's move on to Raw. The opening segment we saw Elias in a referee shirt. I don't know why. I don't remember why he was in a referee. Oh yeah, because Baron Corbin wants him to be the ref at Stomping Grounds. I don't know. Seth Rollins as champion just doesn't do it for me.
I don't know if it's kind of a mixture of two things. I feel like it's where the state of where the company is right now, because this is the worst the product's been in a very long time. Like they are progressively getting worse week by week, in my opinion. And I don't mean to be extreme with it, but it just feels like that. Week by week, they just keep getting worse and worse. And just this whole Monday Night Rollins thing, something about it just feels a little bit corny. Like it feels like he's pandering too much. It doesn't feel like a natural babyface.
No, he's never felt like a natural babyface. He just has a face that you want to punch. He's got the face of somebody that you don't like. Like, I don't know if it's the beard or if it's his eyes. I don't know what it is, but he's got the face of somebody that you just don't like. To me.
But he can't be a heel now, bro. He can't.
Yeah, he can. He has to be the face of Raw because he is the face of Raw. I mean, he's on the show like what, three times a night.
That the audience has reached the point where they really respect him now.
Yeah.
Not know if he's over as a babyface, but they respect his work ethic, his resurgence, his grind to get back from that injury. They respect him now, so it would be very difficult for them to view him as a heel.
Yeah, I know. I hear that. And I mean, I love Seth Rollins. I'm as big a fan of Seth Rollins as anyone.
I know you were a fan since the time Black days.
Yeah, I've been a fan of his since Ring of Honor, like you said, and yeah, I don't know, as champion, it doesn't feel right. It feels like something's missing, Like at least with Roman Reigns, when he's champion, you half the audience hates him, half the audience loves him. With AJ Styles, people want to see him as champion. I don't know if I really believe. Maybe it's the Shield effect with Rollins, where like when the Shield first broke up, it was clear that WWE only cared about Roman Reigns and they didn't care about Ambrose or Rollins. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
If I could be fair to Rollins, Ron felt like it was important for 1 month when they put him in that feud with AJ, because I think everyone was excited about the match. and then they clusterfucked him the second they put him with Baron Corbin. So it's also a product of bad booking too.
Yeah, you think it has something to do with like Shane McMahon and Elias feuding with everybody? Is that what it?
This is why I'm concerned that they really, really are headed towards WCW direction. Because why is Shane McMahon the boss of some of the audience has never even viewed as like a full-out talent performer? Why is he being pushed? Why?
Because people respect him too, and he does crazy shit. But it's too much. They're overdoing it.
They're overdoing it. It's ridiculous. Like,
why do we have to have a McMahon on the show? Why can't we just have no Triple H, no Stephanie, no Vince, no Shane? Like, why do we have to have one of them around all the time?
I think they think that's the answers to all their product moves. That if they add a McMahon on the show, it'll just perk things right back up.
And that's true with Vince. When you put Vince on, he gets ratings. People will watch clips of him on YouTube. People will watch him on on Facebook, Twitter. But Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H don't have that effect to me that Vince does.
Especially Stephanie.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna go on a tangent here. What did you think of the 5-way match for the U.S. title? The number 1 contenders match for the U.S. title.
It was solid. I really did.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I'm so over the start stop with Braun Strowman. So I had to throw that out there.
You're over what?
I'm over the start and stop with Braun Strowman. Like they need to just decide if they're gonna push him or bury him.
And the thing is, Braun Strowman's a guy I feel like don't even care if he's being pushed or buried. He's like, fuck, he's getting his check on TV every week. I don't think he cares.
Yeah, exactly. So it's confusing. Like, why do they, they make him look like a monster and they paint him up as a monster, and then the next week he's in some corny ass skit with Drake Maverick or something.
Yeah, they really have to cut off his balls. But Ricochet and Joe should be a good match.
Yeah, I agree.
Should be a really good match. I mean, I really hope Joe can stay healthy though. Because it just feels like whenever they get somewhere with Joe, he gets injured again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I agree. It would be better to have him on TV every week, but I think it's cool if he stays fresh.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they could have a very good match. Stopping those two. Yeah.
Do you think this push is going to be sustained for Ricochet, or what do you think?
It doesn't seem like anybody's push in WWE is sustained, except Shane McMahon. So I doubt it.
Yeah, Shane, Rollins, and Roman Reigns. They're the only 3 guys that get pushed consistently.
But even Roman, bro, even since he's been back, he doesn't really feel like he's star status anymore.
That's true. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I dig this. I dig Ricochet. Ricochet getting the win because Lashley. Who the fuck is Lashley at this point? Like they have so much talent. So this is how much talent they have that they have to throw 5 of the best wrestlers in the world in a random 5-way match because they got nothing else better to do with them.
Dude, even Dean Ambrose mentioned that on his podcast with Jericho. Like, there's no reason their product should suck because this is the most stacked roster they've had from developmental to NXT to Raw, SmackDown to NXT UK. This is the most stacked roster WWE has ever had any era. And they suck.
This is the most stacked the wrestling world has been in general, too.
Dude, they suck.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. I'm hyped for Ricochet and Samoa Joe. Excuse me, Samoa Joe, though.
Me too. I really hope they give them time. They could have a really, really good match.
Yeah, I agree. I'm laughing at the next segment, but before we get to that segment though, Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans.
I'm sorry, I'll say it. I don't don't care if it's like a fucking asshole. I'm over Becky Lynch.
Wow.
Over her. When the man comes around, shut up.
Oh, man. Direct all the hate mail at him, not me.
Okay, like, no. One, it's because her scheme, let's just be honest. Nobody wants to say it. I'll say it. Her momentum has gone to the shits down since WrestleMania, and a little bit prior to that WrestleMania main event because of how they were booking her with the fucking crunches and shit. Okay? Like, she doesn't feel as hot. She doesn't feel as badass anymore. This Lacey Evans feud is the worst fucking thing to happen to her because Lacey Evans is green as grass and she's not ready.
Yeah, it's like watching a minor league baseball player play with a major league baseball player. But to be fair though,
Styles feud with a tough enough winner.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck are you
doing? to be fair, there really is nobody on Becky Lynch's level aside from Charlotte Flair.
Listen, dude, there is no more brand extension. Put her there with Bayley. Put her there with Alexa Bliss. Fucking get Sasha out of her feud. Put her there with Sasha. Can we put her in some type of important feud so we can know the audience what her star status and level is made out of? You put her in a first feud, her first feud of becoming a star. You put her in a feud with an NXT developmental talent. She wasn't even a huge star in NXT.
She didn't even wrestle in NXT. She never even had a match for the title or anything that I know of.
Like, can we search it up real quick? What was Austin's? Since everybody loves to compare her to Austin. She can't even. When I think she's not even good enough to sign Austin shoelaces.
Wow. We're just burying Becky Lynch today. I'm gonna change the title of this podcast to "Burying Becky Lynch."
Listen, there's generational talent. No one will ever compare to Stone Cold Steve Austin. There was Hogan, and then there was Austin.
And then there's Becky Lynch.
Austin redefined generation. She ain't doing that. But who was Austin's first feud after he was christened at WrestleMania 14?
Mick Foley.
Okay.
So or Dude Love, I should say. He feuded with Dude Love.
So they put him in a feud with an established star.
Yes.
What the fuck are they doing with Becky?
Well, they're trying to help Lacey Evans get over, because she is the new Charlotte. You know.
I understand that. That would make sense if Becky wasn't the champion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you got so many other super talented girls like Nikki Cross, Ember Moon, Kairi Sane, Asuka, just to name a few off the top of my head without even looking at the roster.
When she was cutting her promo, Kevin, I was literally like, "Shut up! You're cutting a promo for a developmental talent. Shut up!" The man really needs to come around for this NXT takeover, girl, right? Really? Come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Ridiculous. WWE has devalued her in my eyes. I do not take you seriously anymore.
I cannot agree with that.
Becky, I'm sorry to sound like a fucking asshole, and I'm gonna get heat from the very listeners who listen to this. I do not take her seriously anymore. I'm over Becky Lynch because of this Lacey Evans crap.
Yeah, you'll be back into her in a few months when
I hope so.
When it gets serious.
I hope they put her in a big time money feud with like Sasha Banks at SummerSlam. I really do. But for right now, I'm over her and her fucking synthetic badass promos.
I like that mini rant you went on. So next up, speaking of things that make no sense, the Viking Raiders. They were out there. Who did they wrestle? What were do you remember the guys' names?
I don't know, but they looked like gay pirates from their entrance. Weren't they like badasses in the Indies? Did you watch the Indies?
Yes, not even in the Indies, man. In New Japan,
they were like over badasses, right?
Yeah, they were one of the best tag teams outside of WWE. They were amazing. The things they did was like honestly like stuff you never seen before.
Okay, now I have a follow-up question. I want to compare them to another team. Gallows and Anderson, weren't they hot catching people's eyes in New Japan too.
Yeah, they were founders of the Bullet Club with AJ Styles and Finn Balor and all those guys, the Young Bucks.
I mean, I really honestly feel like this is what WWE now. They just want no other company outside them to succeed so badly that they're just signing people up just so they can be used elsewhere, because those are two talented teams who they have done nothing with.
Well, I think if AEW had started last year, they probably would have went over there. I don't think they would have came to WWE. You know,
the same thing applies for Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah, Gallows and Anderson too. Yeah, I mean these guys were legit. You know, they were. I mean, they were 1 and 2 with the Young Bucks for best tag teams not in WWE.
Because I remember when they signed Gallows and Anderson, it was a very big deal.
Yeah, it was. And Vince probably looked at them and was like, God damn it, this Festus guy is back.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like...
yeah.
What was their name in Japan?
Who?
War Raiders?
Yeah, War Machine.
It's a badass name.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that name.
I don't know why that name couldn't carry over to WWE.
Even the War Raiders was better than the Viking Experience or whatever the hell they are now.
Yeah, War Machine badass. They sound like badasses.
But, you know, after the match, though, after the squash match that these guys had, the gentlemen they wrestled, the Viking Raiders wrestled, were Randy and Russ Taylor. So shout out to them. We saw the 24/7 champion, R-Truth, and Carmella. I gotta say, I'm sure you hate it, but the 24/7 title is the best thing on WWE TV right now, and that and the Firefly Funhouse.
Oh, it's grown on you?
Yeah, it's grown on me. That's how long it's been since we talked about this stuff, man.
Yeah. Because I remember you hated it. You thought it was like borderline pederish.
It was definitely pedophile-ish. It still is. It still is. But I think it's funny, man. It's really. But we'll talk about that. Yeah. So the 24/7 title is by far the most entertaining thing on their TV right now.
And that's sad. It is entertaining, but if that is the only entertaining thing of your show that's 3 hours long, that's sad.
It's tough to disagree. I mean, what do you think about it though? Like, are you on the same boat that I am in? Do you find it entertaining or do you hate it?
It's basically the hardcore title for today's generation, and the hardcore title is entertaining. So I can't disagree with you on that.
And R-Truth is the perfect guy to be heading the division. He's hilarious, man.
And a guy like him deserves this type of run and time on TV because he's consistently been a hard worker and entertaining for years now.
Yeah, he and Carmella are both great, you know. And then I think it's sad that this is what Bobby Roode is relegated to, is chasing R-Truth.
Yo, you know what's sad, bro?
What?
I wanted this guy signed on WWE for years.
Me too.
I thought he was so talented and like he worked, great gimmicks, main event level presence, heck of a spine buster. I wanted him on WWE for years, and they've killed him.
Yeah, they buried him 6 feet under. But how good is Daniel Bryan on the mic, though? How good is he?
He's so good that I want him to leave this company.
I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know.
Dude, like, he's so good. Even that little match that he had with Rollins on Raw was so freaking good. I'm like, yo, honestly, he's still in the conversation for probably one of the best wrestlers in the world today.
Yeah, unbelievably. He's unbelievable, man. What do you think about the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn show?
You have to understand, I just watched this show now, and I just look at all the sound that they're misusing. I'm like, oh, what you could have been. I look at Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, not Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan achieved a fair amount of WWE. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, guys like that. I look at them like, wow, what you could have been. I watched that segment. I'm like, so this is what you two are relegated to?
Yeah.
It's Kevin Owens, in my opinion, should have been the guy after he beat Cena.
No, there's only so many guys. There's only one. I mean, there's only one guy, rather. You know.
No, I know, but Kevin Owens is the full package to me. The full package. can work and cut promos, and it's a phenomenal heel.
I don't know. That's another debate for another day.
And you were a huge Sami Zayn fan.
I
kept
was.
telling me, watch out for me since the main roster. I'm like, okay.
I was a big fan. I still am a big fan. You know, I mean, I'm a big fan of somebody, even though they're doing just stupid shit.
Like, I feel like I'm just branded at this point by AEW because I just watched the show now. And I was thinking he should go to AEW. He should. I watched Zayn, and I was like, they should leave. But I know their contract status, and they're in WWE for quite an amount of time.
Yeah, they're getting paid well. They're on top. Man, they can't be that upset. We had a Paul Heyman promo.
Yeah, the Heyman promo started off corny, but it ended off well.
I'm just over Paul Heyman and Brock. I'm so over it.
I don't think you're over it, Paul Heyman and Brock. I think you're over the way they use them, because the way they use Brock is really corny.
Yeah, seriously. Like, how many times are we gonna have Paul Heyman come out there and just say that Brock Lesnar is the biggest box office draw and he's the beast? We get it. Brock is the beast, and Vince will pay millions of dollars for Brock to be there. We get it. You know.
My whole thing is, do they get that they don't need to have Brock involved in the title picture to use it?
I think they get that, but that's probably the only way Brock will show up.
I don't know, man, because before that, he was still having main event feuds. Like, he was feuding with Taker, CM Punk, Triple H, Cena, and those were feuds that were right for the title.
I know, but I mean, there's wild rumors out there. If you believe what you read on the internet, you know that he won't show up anymore unless it's involving the title.
I don't believe that, because this guy doesn't care about wrestling. He just cares about the money. So I think as long as he's paid, I don't think they could put him in a feud with Heath later, and I don't think he'd care.
I know. I don't know, man.
I literally think he's there just for the check. So yeah, which I don't knock him for it. You know, it's a business. You know your value, and you maximize it.
I'd like to see Paul Heyman represent somebody else, though. Like, can we get a change up with Paul Heyman? Can we get him out there with anyone else? You know?
Yeah. Who would you put him with?
I don't know. Like, put him out there with Bobby Lashley or something. Just anything different, man. Anybody. Braun Strowman, you know, Drew McIntyre. Lord knows Drew McIntyre would need it.
Yeah, they're still trying to push me.
Yeah, he needs some kind of color. He's as vanilla as anybody.
Yeah.
I don't see it in him, but yeah, I mean, just put Paul Heyman out there with anybody. You know, have him go out there with, like I said, with Drew McIntyre. Yeah, just hype up Drew McIntyre. Let him cut some promos. Like, have him shoot a little bit. You know, talk about how McIntyre is not being used properly. Or, you know, how McIntyre is like one of the best wrestlers in the world, and have him shoot, have him say some cutting edge stuff.
Sadly, that'll never happen.
Yeah, I mean, Heyman is no doubt one of the best managers ever, even though he's super played. But
him and Bobby can talk to.
Yeah, seriously. Let's see, what else do we have on a Raw? We had a Roman Reigns promo. More
Never
talk.
as a top star felt so important from coming back from such a life-threatening thing. He's felt so unimportant creatively.
Well, he's feuding with Shane. There's only so far they can go with that.
Who was he feuding with before that? Elias and Drew McIntyre. Like, he's felt so.
Well, he still is feuding with McIntyre and Elias at the same time.
So it's just like. And I remember when top guys like The Rock and Austin used to come back from injuries or breaks, they used to re-plug them into top feuds like nothing.
I know. I don't know, bro. This Raw was Wow, this Raw was a chore. I mean, did you like it at all?
Sucked. I, I don't enjoy watching Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I don't enjoy watching WWE now. It sucks.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, SmackDown is still slightly better. You know, like there's some better matches on SmackDown.
Oh, did you catch the backstage segments with AJ Styles and Cross and Luke Gallows?
No, I didn't see that actually.
They're seizing basically a reunion of.
Oh yeah, the Bullet Club.
I just hope that they're heel, AJ's heel, because you know how I feel about heel AJ Styles.
I don't think they're gonna go that way with AJ again, and I don't know if like Gallows and Anderson. I don't know if they're important enough to be stuck with AJ for long enough to have that run mean anything. You know.
Well, they're reuniting them because they had a big show in Japan coming up. I think they want Gallows, AJ, and Anderson to headline it.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm saying like this. I mean, yeah, they could turn him heel, but I don't think they're gonna invest a lot of time. You know.
No, I'm sorry, they're leaving.
Yeah, after this Japan show, Gallows and Anderson are probably gonna be gone by the end of this year, and
They're leaving in the fall.
yeah, they're not gonna invest a lot of time in turning AJ heel, and that'd be just kind of silly, I think, and not really worth the time.
Yeah, were you a big fan of Mike Kanellis when he was on the Indies and when he was on TNA?
I wouldn't say a big fan, not really. I mean, I enjoyed his work; he was good, but.
You think he had potential?
Not really like big. No, not really. Honestly.
Oh no, I was reading that him and his wife they resigned with WWE for 5 years, and I was like, really? You resigned just to do nothing? All right.
Hey, I'll resign to do nothing and get paid for it. I'm down.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he'll be a big deal on 205 Live.
See?
That's the power of the machine, right? They need cast members on all these shows, 205 Live, NXT, Raw. You know, they gotta have tons of cast members.
Yep, good point.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about SmackDown, if you will. We talked a little bit about the Ziggler promo. It was the same old Ziggler promo. It should have been me. It should have been me. I think it's good, but and he's speaking the truth, honestly.
Yes, but it's just like, dude, we know how this is gonna end. You're gonna be important for like a month and then go away.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm enjoying what I see, you know?
Yeah, but as hard as that guy works, there's never a payoff with it.
Yeah. The match with Xavier Woods was good, though. I'll give him that. It was a solid, short match.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really care to see him and Kofi fight again for the title, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's part of his career. None of us care now because we know it's gonna end.
But you know, I do think that anyone that challenges Kofi, though, will be seen as a potential winner, because to me, Kofi's still not a top guy. He's still not a WWE champion to me. So I think a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think anyone you put against him, well, that's slightly more credible than him, you could say, okay, Kofi's not going to win this one.
Yeah, but that adds to more legitimacy to Kofi's matches, though, because he gets to play that underdog role, and it adds more interest to the match.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I hear that 100%. And then it's like, well, I mean, but it's still like, you know, if they put Kofi in there with a guy like Roman Reigns, you know, Kofi's not beating Roman Reigns. Still, like, he could beat Ziggler, he could beat Kevin Owens all he wants, but you put him in there with a really true superstar, he's not going to beat them.
I know what you're saying. If you put him in there against any of those guys, so it's game over for him. I agree with you.
And it's kind of sad because Kofi's great, but you think it might have been? It just might have been too late for him. I don't know.
I think he's champion solely off the story. That story and that run that he was on was crazy.
Yeah, it was great.
It only made sense. He had to win.
Yeah, it was great, honestly. Then we had a moment of bliss. You know, Alexa insulted Bayley Moore. Felt like a rerun of their feud from a couple years back.
Yeah.
No, from that feud they had on SmackDown. I mean, on Raw or whatever it was. when
Oh, yeah.
when Alexa buried her in her hometown.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bailey, I do, but it seems like she needs a character change. Like the whole hugger, like presenting her as a child, it's played.
She was a license to print money before she debuted on the main roster, and they fucked that up.
Yep.
She could have been the female John Cena.
I guess so. Time will never know, right? We'll never know, right?
Big facts.
Yeah, I mean, you got Bailey and Alexa Bliss out there. I mean, I like Alexa Bliss though. She's great on the mic.
She's just perfect.
Yeah, she's really good. I don't know what the whole thing is with Nikki Cross. I'm a little confused by that.
I think it's gonna lead to a match at SummerSlam.
Well, Nikki Cross and Alexa.
Yeah. Nikki Cross is gonna realize that Alexa's been taking advantage of her and having her do her dirty work, and then boom, match at SummerSlam.
Boom. As the kids say, it's done. Book it.
Pretty much.
Right? And this not a lot to talk about in the SmackDown. Heavy Machinery versus the B Team. I'm glad that we're finally getting to see some of Heavy Machinery because they're pretty funny, man. Honestly.
Yeah, but they just look like jobbers to me.
Okay. And? And?
Oh, they just look like jobbers. That's it.
I mean, what's wrong with that, though?
I don't find them credible. They don't like. I can't. Wrestling's about suspending belief, and I just can't. They don't seem believable to me.
You don't find them funny though?
No.
Interesting. Okay. You're just burying everything today, huh?
Dude, I can't watch WWE. I just can't. It's very hard for me to watch it, especially what I saw roughly a month ago with Double or Nothing. Like, it just reminded me of what this is what wrestling is supposed to be about. This is what I fell in love with.
Interesting.
That energy in the crowd, that's what it's supposed to be. It felt like almost an attitude era, man.
Did you listen to Stone Cold's podcast?
No, what?
With Tony Khan?
Was it good?
Yeah, it's definitely worth a listen.
What do you say?
Well, Tony Khan just talked about how they're going to make tag team wrestling legit, and Stone Cold was really putting them over. No, he was putting them over. He was putting him over, rather, pretty big for that. Because tag team wrestling has meant nothing in WWE for years and years.
Oh, yeah. And Austin loves tag team wrestling.
Yeah, tag team wrestling is legit. There's going to be a tournament when AEW debuts on TNT for the tag team titles. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Dude, I'm really excited about AEW. I really can't wait to watch their weekly programming. And they don't seem like a company that's just fishing for big names. They want to build names. I'm really interested. Yeah,
they're definitely trying to build names. Tony Khan also killed the rumor that there's going to be an off season.
What he said?
He said there's not going to be an off season.
Did he elaborate what?
He said wrestling season is 24/7, 365.
I guess, yeah.
But he did say that there won't be any house shows, and he said that guys will be able to do indies. You know, they'll be able to do indie shows as they please. They'll be able to go to Japan. You know, he said there's going to be the one show a week, and then maybe a monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly pay-per-view.
Old school. They're doing it the old school way.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, huh?
That's how it used to be. Yeah, that's nice. I like it.
Yeah, he said he's gonna use the modern ways of making money to grow the business, you know, with social media and merchandise. And like, instead of having guys wrestling, he's going to let them do their YouTube shows, you know, and like I said, the indie shows. So it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be overexposure of the product. And I think that's a good method for them to go down, because WWE is super overexposed. Like, why do they have to do 5 house shows a week? You know, there's no need for that anymore in 2019.
There's no need for that. The market's not there like that for house shows anymore. and it allows your talent more time to rest, bro.
Yeah, he said that was another big thing. He said he doesn't want to run his top guys into the ground. He wants Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho and all those guys to be around for a while.
Yeah, I mean Jericho signed a 3-year deal. That means they have long-term investment in it. So I think they want to keep the longevity of their talent fresh.
Yeah, you got a guy like Kenny Omega or a guy like Chris Jericho who, if they're not on the road 5 days a week, they're going to be able to develop more fresh ideas and more creative ways to keep themselves over and keep people invested in their storylines.
Yeah. I mean, so far so great. Their vision for how they want to go about things just seems like music to my ears.
Yeah, yes, it definitely is. It's refreshing to see a guy that's so smart like Tony Khan really lay out his business plan. And that's only a tiny bit of what they want us to know. I'm sure there's so many other things going on behind closed doors.
And dude, he's a fan too. You can hear from his interviews like he's a fan.
He is a fan. He's a legit like he's like an old school like tape trader. He said.
Yeah, like he knows the history and shit.
Yeah, he watched ECW, NWA, TNA, Ring of Honor, like all those companies. He's not a figurehead like Vince McMahon who has no idea what's going on in the real world. All he knows is WWE.
It's WWE, yeah.
And it's kind of cool because he's like a modern day businessman. He's like if Mark Zuckerberg, just throw a name out there, got involved in pro wrestling.
Yeah. He can add his expertise and his fandom.
Yeah, it's cool. It was a good podcast. Definitely worth a listen.
No, I'm gonna listen to it later for sure.
But another thing we got to talk about, bro. And I'm fucking done talking about this. This is the last time that we're gonna talk about this topic, bro. All right, you cool with that?
What's it about?
This is the last time we're ever. Oh, I don't even know why I said that. This is the last time we're ever gonna talk about this one guy that keeps having his name fucking brought up over and over again, and people get their hopes up and dirt sheet writers write about it. I'm sick and tired of talking about this guy.
All right, let's do it. Let's put work in it. Let's come on.
CM Punk. He tweeted one of his fans, and he said one of his fans asked him, "Hey, are you gonna disappoint your fans by not showing up at AEW?" And he said, "Yes." The man is done with pro wrestling. He's done. He wants nothing to do with it, and I'm tired of talking about him.
I told you this. He is done. If there's ever a guy that's never going to come back to wrestling, it's him.
Yeah.
He wants nothing to do with wrestling. He has tried everything in his power to distance himself from wrestling.
Except showing up at an indie show.
Yes, but numerous reporters said that event was like for a friend and that building had some significance to him. But besides that, he's been strictly in the UFC world. He does commentary for UFC. So nothing to do with wrestling. All in was a perfect opportunity for him to come back to wrestling. If anything, it was Chicago. So he's done. We need to let it go.
Yeah, we as wrestling fans collectively need to look at CM Punk and say, damn, he was great. And the key word was, because he ain't coming back.
He's not coming back. Accept it for what it is. Let that man peacefully live and move on with his life. Yes, AEW is the perfect place for CM Punk. And he would be a game changer for that company, and he would literally take that company to a place that he should have taken WWE to, which is to the next level. But he will not be there. He's done. Do not expect to see him at All Out. That's the name of the event, right?
Yeah, All Out.
He will not be at All Out. You will never see him in a wrestling ring ever again. Ever.
No, the only time you will see him is in 10 years when he goes to the WWE to get his Hall of Fame ring.
And that's a baby. That's a big baby. That's like if they've apologized and their asses off for fucking him up so badly in his career. That's a big maybe.
Yeah, he's done. And it's sad to say because CM Punk was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
And
he made me love wrestling again, like Attitude Era love wrestling again. Like he made wrestling fun again.
yeah, he got me back into wrestling when I was kind of done with it as a teenager. I was done watching it, and then I was like, oh, the CM Punk guy. Okay, cool.
He's done. We need to accept it. We need to stop overanalyzing every tweet that he does and see if it has some subliminal wrestling reference to it, or see, oh, maybe he still does have soft spot because he tweeted this wrestler. He's done. He's done.
Yeah, he'll always be tied to wrestling forever because of his past and the many things that he did. But it's just, huh?
He's done. And it kills me to say that. I really don't want him to be done. I want him to end this the way he should have ended it on his terms, but it's over. He's never coming back, ever.
Yep. The only time we're ever going to talk about CM Punk is if he does return to wrestling. Until then, we ain't talking about him.
Trust me, I don't like being rich, okay? But I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope that he shocks the world and he shows up at All Out and he gets the loudest pop that you can ever fucking get. And he feels every bit of that crowd and he fucking realizes what he's been missing all these years. Because he even mentioned it during the interview when people asked him how did he feel, but people still chanting his name at shows. He's like, I left that industry 4 years ago, and people are still saying my name. That's powerful to me. He needs to feel that power in person because those people still love him the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it would be nice to see him give back to those fans that have been so loyal. And who knows? Maybe he does want to come back to wrestling, but because of his UFC contract, he can't. Who knows? I'm just speculating, but who really knows at the end of the day? Anything's possible.
Yeah, but he's been very good at being very distant from the industry.
Yeah, it's true. And
he will forever be a legend.
Huh?
He will forever be a legend, though.
Forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Firefly Funhouse. I almost forgot.
Yeah. It's intriguing. It's definitely intriguing. It's getting a little overkill at this point now because I do not know when the fights are going to debut.
I don't really care to see him wrestle. I wouldn't mind seeing the Firefly Funhouse for another 3 months.
Do you think it's going to be a hit or a face?
Who cares? Either way, it's going to be a terrible match, and it's not going to mean anything. I think this is the best use of him in these non-wrestling roles. I think it's the best use of Bray Wyatt.
All you got to do is just let him in.
Yeah, let him in. Yeah, I remember when I first saw this new character debut, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like,
I was like, "Oh my god, I'm watching his death."
Yeah, I thought this was it, and then sure enough, it's the best thing on the show. Consistently, the best thing on the show.
Yeah, that and 24/7.
Yeah, like these vignettes, I guess, right? It's very like old school, classical vignettes with a modern twist on it.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Bray Wyatt's always been that kind of old school guy.
No, he's a very creative guy.
I don't know. It's got me thinking because they gotta bring him back and have him wrestle at some point. But what are they gonna do? Is he gonna wrestle with as the Fiend?
I think that mask is gonna be his new identity.
You think he's gonna wrestle like that?
I really don't know. I expect the unexpected with him at this point.
I'm intrigued, but yeah, I think.
We shall see.
Huh?
We shall see though. How they pull it off.
Yeah, I think we got everything out of this podcast that we're gonna get right now. You have any last words?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
Fighter Fest is in a few days. Enjoy, everyone.
What is in a few days?
Fighter Fest.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good one. Stomping Grounds too, bro. Don't forget about Stomping Grounds.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited about Stomping Grounds. Yeah, guys.
And Mr. Negative here. Yeah, you're such a hater, bro. Why do you even watch wrestling at this point?
I love wrestling. I don't like WWE right now. It's different. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. We will be back. I think we're both just been busy. And much love.
Yeah, much love always. Love thy brother and thy father.
Yes.
All right. Well, it was cool talking to you. You know, we'll be back. We'll be back talking stomping grounds. You know, we gotta talk about that in long form. Even though I know you hate it, but maybe you could try to be positive and, you know,
I'll try.
Not to be a dick the whole 50 minutes.
Take care.